something or leading the way in a body of discoveries is tired and a little bit embittered and not a happy camper. And I don't hear that with you.
I'm having a blast. I mean, that's what I can say. I mean, I've been doing this for, like I said, 40 years. And I joke about it when I give presentations, but I've always, 30, even 10 years ago, it was like I was a Maytag repairman, right? Is that, nobody wanted to listen. I mean, I get up in front of the audience to talk about vitamin D, everybody go to sleep. And the joke is true, is that I was invited to a society down in Florida to give a presentation, and there was only one person in the audience. And so I was thrilled that at least I had one person. So I gave my presentation, and I thanked the gentleman for coming to my talk. I said, "Do you have any questions?" And he said, "Oh, no. He said, "I'm the next speaker." It's such a turnaround. I mean, usually wherever I give a presentation now, it's standing room only.
What do you think it's due to? Do you think part of it has to do with the way that you're bringing it about?
Personally, I think that the major driver for this has definitely been people like you and the press. There's no question about it. And because, the internet is so pervasive now and getting information out so quickly, it really has been the patients teaching the physicians. And I can give you one last anecdote.
Sure.
And that is that I was guest of honor at a family medicine meeting, and I was the keynote speaker. And I'm ready to give my talk, and about 10 minutes before I'm giving my talk, this delightful woman comes up to me. She's probably about 45 years of age, and she says she's just most appreciative of what I've been doing. And she's most grateful because I've given her life back. And I said, I didn't know who this person was. So it turned out that she was the former president of the Family Medicine Association. And 2 years before, she said, a patient came to her with my New England Journal review. And by the way, you can get that on my website that you gave. And the patient showed the physician and said, I have aches and pains in my bones and muscles, and I have stiffness in my joints when I get up in the morning, and I feel depressed in the morning. And Dr. Holick said in his review that many of these symptoms are consistent with vitamin D deficiency. What do you think? And her response was, you're crazy. So in typical fashion, the patient persisted and got her to order the blood test. So she did, found the patient was vitamin D deficient. Treats the patient. Patient comes back 2 months later, thrilled that all of her symptoms are resolved. Well, the physician now realizes, oh my God, when I get up in the morning, I have stiffness in my joints, and I feel fatigue and weakness. And so she took her own advice and took vitamin D and found that she got her life back. She said, it's amazing what has happened. I have much more energy. I have none of these aches and pains in my muscles and bones anymore. And she was most grateful to me, saying that she, as physician, healed thyself.
That's a great story. How much would you say that vitamin D helps the immune system?
Well, I mean, your immune cells have a vitamin D receptor, and Dr. Adams and Maudlin out in California showed very nicely that the cells that gobble up infectious processes, like TB, for example, that they need vitamin D. They activate it locally, and what it does is it tells the cell to make phthalocybin, which is a defensive protein that kills infective agents. There was a study done at Yale, and they showed that men and women that had the highest intake of vitamin D reduced risk of getting upper respiratory tract infections by as much as 50%. A study done in Japan showed children taking 1,200 units of vitamin D a day from December through March reduced their risk of getting influenza A infection by as much as 42%. So vitamin D is very important as an immunomodulator, and we think that that's the reason why children that got 2,000 units of vitamin D a day for the first year of life in Finland, followed for the first 31 years, reduced their risk of getting type 1 diabetes by 88%, reduces risk of getting multiple sclerosis by 100% if you are born below Atlanta, Georgia, and live there for the first 10 years of your life. So yes, vitamin D plays a very important role in immunomodulation, reducing risk of autoimmune diseases, and help us fight infectious diseases.
Extraordinary. Extraordinary. I really want to thank you for being on the show with us today, and for the books that you've written, and for everything that you're doing for the well-being of people around the world.
It's been my pleasure. And thank you so very much for the opportunity to share it with you and your listeners.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to It's Rainmaking Time. We've been listening to Dr. Michael Holick. You can reach Dr. Holick at drholick, HOLICK.com. Pick up the book, The Vitamin D Solution, a 3-step strategy to cure our most common health problems. And if there's any new discoveries or any new testing that you've done, Dr. Holick, we'd love to have you come back. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.